Good morning, dear friend. Let's take a breath together, shall we? Imagine it's early, the kind of morning when the garden hasn't quite woken up yet. The breeze is soft. A robin hops across the path, and there you are sitting with a cup of warm tea, watching sunlight catch the edge of an old stone near your feet. That little pebble might seem like nothing, but maybe it's been there longer than you've lived in this home. Maybe it was tucked beneath the roots of a tree or washed smooth by a long-ago river. Maybe, like you, it's carried weight quietly, held warmth, weathered seasons. Isn't it something how even the smallest things in nature can hold such deep stories? Today, I want to show you how stones, the ones right under our noses, can become something beautiful. Not just useful, not just decorative, but truly meaningful. A mosaic made with your hands. A piece of art that lives in your garden just like a memory lives in your heart. You don't need to buy expensive materials. You don't need youth or fancy tools. All you need is a little imagination and the willingness to start. These pebble mosaics we'll explore today aren't about perfection. They're about telling your story through shapes, colors, and quiet time spent outdoors. We'll take it slow. Each idea is something you can try on your own terms, in your own rhythm, whether you have a big backyard or a small porch wall. You'll find symbols of strength, of joy, of childhood, of peace, made from nothing more than what others might walk past. So settle in, dear one. We're going to unearth the hidden masterpiece in your own backyard, one stone at a time. Do you remember the feeling of doodling as a child? Just a quiet moment with a pencil making loops and petals until something symmetrical appeared. Not perfect, but peaceful. That's the feeling a flower mandala mosaic can bring back into your life. A mandala is more than just a design. It's a symbol, one that appears in nature, in sacred traditions, and in the patterns we're drawn to again and again. It speaks of balance, unity, and the circle of life. And when made with stones from your own backyard or a nearby trail, it becomes deeply personal. To begin, find a flat space, maybe a stepping stone, a paver, or even a round wooden board. You'll want your surface to be clean and dry. Then gather smooth pebbles in a range of natural colors. Soft grays, warm browns, and creamy whites work beautifully. Start from the center, maybe a single round stone or a cluster of 3 small ones. From there, build outwards, placing each petal-like curve gently around the core. You can use outdoor construction adhesive or thin-set mortar to hold them in place. Take your time. There's no rush. The magic is in the quiet process. You don't need to make it big. A small mandala, even the size of a dinner plate, becomes a lovely focal point in a small garden. Place it on a tabletop, nestle it among flowers, or hang it on a wall like a peaceful emblem. If you have grandkids, they might enjoy helping choosing stones and placing them in patterns like a living puzzle. And here's something to remember: no two mandalas are the same. Just like no two seasons in your life have ever been identical. That's the beauty of it. A flower mandala made by your hands carries your rhythm, your age, your mood, and becomes a silent witness in your garden. In a world that moves quickly, making something slowly with care is an act of grace. A pebble mandala doesn't just decorate your space, it grounds you. It reminds you that stillness is strength, and that beauty grows outward from a quiet center. Have you ever stood beneath an old tree and felt its calm settle over you? Maybe it was the one in your childhood yard, or the one near the corner of your porch where birds like to rest. Trees hold stories of time, resilience, and quiet growth. That's why the tree of life is such a powerful symbol to create in stone. You don't need a large space to begin. A section of garden wall, a square paver, or even a vertical wooden board can serve as your canvas. Start by sketching the shape: a strong trunk in the middle, roots spreading downward, and branches reaching upward and outward. This design mirrors our own lives, grounded in the past, growing toward the future. To make the tree, gather pebbles of various sizes and colors. Darker stones work well for the roots, and trunk giving a sense of depth. Lighter or contrasting tones can highlight the branches. You might even tuck a few green-tinted pebbles among the leaves or add tiny pops of color for blossoms or fruit. Begin with the roots. Let them spread wide like veins in the earth. Then shape your way up through the trunk, sturdy and centered, before gently fanning the stones into branching patterns. You can use outdoor adhesive to fix each piece in place, working slowly and mindfully. If you're placing this on a garden wall, it becomes more than art. It becomes a visual blessing for anyone who walks by. A reminder that no matter the season, something within you continues to grow. And if your hands are tired or your back isn't what it used to be, you can still take part. Simply sketch the design and let a loved one help with the gluing. Art made in togetherness holds even more meaning. The tree of life is ancient and universal. In every culture, it represents connection to the earth, to one another, and to something greater. Creating one from pebbles with your own hands and time is a way of planting something that will never wither. Let your garden remind you your roots are strong, your branches wide. You're still growing, still creating, still deeply connected. Do you remember the first time you noticed a butterfly resting nearby? Maybe it landed on your shoulder or fluttered across your garden, weightless and fleeting. There's something about butterflies. They feel like gentle visitors from another world, bringing a quiet kind of joy wherever they go. Now imagine capturing that moment in stone. A butterfly with wings made from pebbles, delicate in shape, lasting in form. It's a beautiful way to add both artistry and symbolism to your outdoor space. This mosaic is especially lovely for a smaller wall, a vertical planter backdrop, or even the side of a garden bench. Start by sketching the basic outline: 2 upper wings, 2 smaller lower ones, and a narrow body down the middle. You don't need to make it perfectly symmetrical. In fact, a little imperfection adds charm. For the wings, gather pebbles in different sizes and natural shades. Think soft blues, pale yellows, warm terracottas, and gentle grays. These become your paints. Arrange the stones in curved patterns within each wing like nature's stained glass. Try placing the darker stones near the edges and lighter ones toward the center for a soft gradient. The body of the butterfly can be formed with 3 or 4 oval-shaped stones laid vertically. If you want to add antennae, 2 small twigs or curved pieces of driftwood glued just above the head give a whimsical finishing touch. This project is easy to scale. A small butterfly mosaic on a paver can sit beside your flower pots or mark the start of a path. A larger version on a garden wall can become a focal point that delights visitors and invites real butterflies too. Butterflies symbolize transformation, the quiet kind. They remind us that growth can happen in stillness, that we can change with grace, and that beauty often arrives after deep rest. Maybe that's why so many of us feel a little lighter just watching them dance. By placing one in your garden, you're doing more than decorating. You're honoring the changes you've been through, the seasons of loss, the chapters of rebirth. Your butterfly becomes a gentle symbol, still here, still beautiful, still flying. If butterflies are whispers of transformation, dragonflies are the quiet stirrings of wonder. You may have seen one skimming across a pond in late summer, its wings catching the sun like tiny shards of stained glass. In many traditions, dragonflies represent clarity, grace, and the courage to shift direction mid-flight. That's why a dragonfly mosaic with wings made from driftwood and a body formed from stones is such a meaningful project. It blends texture with intention, giving your garden a peaceful touch of woodland magic. And the best part? It's surprisingly simple and forgiving to make. Start with your surface. A wooden board, brick wall, or garden gate will all work. Begin by sketching a dragonfly in a soft pencil or chalk, long body, small head, and 4 outstretched wings. The shape is elegant and narrow, like a gentle cross. For the body, choose a few smooth, dark pebbles, oval or round, to create the segmented look of the dragonfly's torso. Lay them vertically, one after another. If you'd like to give it a more rustic charm, you can alternate darker and lighter stones for a natural gradient. Now for the wings, driftwood pieces make a beautiful contrast. Look for small curved sticks, not too heavy, that resemble the gentle arc of real dragonfly wings. Position them at angles on either side of the body. You can attach them with strong outdoor adhesive or secure them lightly with wire if you prefer a removable design. Add a few pebble accents along the wings or just beneath the body to echo the stone theme and unify the piece. If you're feeling playful, you could even place tiny mosaic ripples beneath the dragonfly to mimic the look of it skimming water. Place your finished piece where sunlight can touch it, near a pond, among tall grasses, or beside a bird bath. It becomes a quiet guardian of the space. Dragonflies remind us to be light, not in body, but in spirit. to change directions when we must, and to hover gracefully in life's in-between places. When you craft one from driftwood and stone, you bring that energy into your garden, not rushed, not rigid, just beautifully balanced. Let it be your reminder transformation isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and winged with wonder. Have you ever noticed how a sunflower always finds the light? Even on cloudy days, it turns its golden face toward the sun as if reminding the world, and maybe even you, that joy is something we can choose. That's what makes a Pebble Mosaic sunflower such a heartwarming addition to any garden. It brings a sense of brightness and welcome, even in the smallest corner. And the best part, you can make it entirely from stones you may already have, plus a little time, care, and imagination. To begin, find a round surface. A paver, an old tabletop, or a circular stepping stone works beautifully. Sketch a large central circle for the sunflower's face. This will be the seed-filled center. Around it, draw 10 to 14 long pointed petals that fan out like rays of the sun. For the center, choose smaller, dark-colored pebbles, browns, charcoals, or deep gray. Press them tightly together for a textured, rich center. This part doesn't need to be perfectly smooth. The roughness adds charm and a realistic seed-like look. For the petals, gather warm-toned pebbles in yellows, creams, rust, or even pale orange. Lay them end to end along the petal outlines, keeping the shapes long and slightly pointed. If you don't have yellowish stones, you can even paint natural pebbles with outdoor safe paint in sunny shades. It still keeps the natural texture while adding brightness. Use outdoor adhesive or mortar to secure each piece in place, working petal by petal. Take your time. This is a gentle project, one where slow hands are welcome and perfection isn't needed. The beauty comes from intention. Once dry, place your sunflower mosaic where it will catch the light, maybe at the edge of a flower bed, leaning against a wall, or nestled in a quiet nook where you enjoy your morning coffee. It becomes a visual hug for the space. Sunflowers symbolize adoration, resilience, and pure thoughts. They teach us to rise each day with softness and strength. By crafting one with your own hands, you plant more than beauty, you plant hope. In the later years of life, joy is found not in what we chase, but in what we quietly make with love. Let your sunflower remind you the light still finds you and you still know how to turn toward it. Some parts of the garden don't get much attention: the corners, the blank fences, the bare side of a shed. But sometimes those are the very spots that are asking for a little magic. That's where a stone vine can make all the difference, climbing along a wall, winding gently and breathing softness into even the hardest edge. This project is perfect if you're looking for something elegant and low maintenance. A pebble vine and leaf mosaic brings movement, texture, and a quiet, natural rhythm to your space, and it doesn't need sunlight or water to flourish. Start by choosing your surface. A brick wall, a wooden fence, or even a concrete planter edge can work beautifully. Use a piece of chalk or soft pencil to sketch a gentle curve, a single vine that meanders upward or across the wall like it's growing at its own pace. Then draw a few leaf shapes branching out from the main line, not too many, just enough to add that leafy character. For the vine itself, use narrow, smooth pebbles laid end to end like little stepping stones following a trail. Gray or brown stones work well here, something understated to let the leaves shine. For the leaves, choose slightly wider pebbles. You can arrange them in pairs to mimic the shape of real leaves pointing outward from the stem. If you happen to find green-toned stones, even better. But natural shades of tan ivory or slate look just as beautiful. Adhere each pebble using outdoor adhesive or mortar. Work in small sections, especially if you're standing while working. This project is kind to the body, and you can stop and rest anytime without losing your place. Once it's dry, you'll be amazed at how the vine softens the space. What was once an overlooked wall becomes something graceful, a reminder that even small, slow growth is beautiful. In many traditions, vines symbolize persistence, connection, and life's winding journey. They don't grow straight, and neither do we. But we keep reaching, keep climbing, keep intertwining with the people and places we love. So if there's a quiet wall in your garden, let it tell a new story. One of resilience. One of beauty, one of you. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the ocean. Not the crashing surf of stormy shores, but the gentle rhythmic hush of waves rolling in and out on a quiet morning. There's something deeply calming about that motion. It reminds us that life has its tides, its pauses, its soft returns. Now imagine capturing that feeling in your garden with nothing more than a few handfuls of smooth stones. A wave pattern made from gradient pebbles is one of the most peaceful and visually striking mosaics you can create. It's simple, soothing, and endlessly adaptable. Begin by choosing your spot. This design works well on horizontal surfaces like stepping stones, garden borders, or patio slabs. But it can also be placed on a vertical board leaned against a wall. Wherever you choose, just make sure it's clean and dry. Sketch a soft wave across the surface, one elegant curve that rises and falls like a breath. Don't worry about precision. Think of how water moves naturally, gently, with no hard edges. That's your guide. Next, gather pebbles in various tones of the same color, like deep navy to soft sky blue or dark gray to light tan. If you don't have matching tones, you can blend different colors for a more artistic layered effect. Start at the base of the wave with the darkest stones. Lay them in a gentle arc. Then slowly work your way upward using lighter stones, creating a natural fade. It's like painting with texture instead of ink. Adhere each pebble using your outdoor glue or mortar. Use a trowel or your fingers to gently press them into place, one curve at a time. You can add small white pebbles at the wave's crest to mimic foam, or let the simplicity speak for itself. When finished, this mosaic invites pause. It becomes a visual rhythm in your space, something your eyes return to when your heart needs calm. Waves symbolize change, motion, and emotional flow. They remind us that nothing stays stuck forever. Even hard seasons soften. Even sorrow moves on. By placing a wave in your garden, you're not just decorating. You're reminding yourself and others that life moves, heals, and flows again. In a way, this little garden wave becomes a silent lullaby. A message written in stone piece returns. There's something sacred about watching ripples form on still water. A leaf drops. A dragonfly kisses the surface. And suddenly, perfect circles begin to widen, soft, quiet, and endlessly expanding. That's the feeling we bring into the garden with a ripple mosaic made from stone. Unlike bold patterns or floral shapes, this one is all about subtlety. It's calm-centered and deeply grounding, perfect for a zen corner of your yard, or a peaceful space near a bench or bird bath. You don't need a big area to make an impact. Even a small circular stepping stone can hold the entire ripple design like a mirror of stillness. Begin with a round base. A large paver, a shallow planter tray, or a circular wood board treated for outdoor use works beautifully. At the very center, place a single round pebble. This is your drop of water, the moment that begins it all. From there, lay concentric rings of pebbles moving outward. Try to use similar colors in each ring, gradually shifting from darker stones in the center to lighter ones at the outer edge, or vice versa. Each ring should grow just a little wider than the last, like breath expanding gently. Spacing is important. Keep small gaps between stones so each circle remains distinct. Use a pencil or string to lightly mark your ring guides ahead of time if you'd like more precision, but it's also lovely when done freehand. After all, real ripples aren't perfect, and neither are we. Secure each pebble with outdoor adhesive or mortar, pressing them into place with slow, steady hands. Take breaks if needed. There's no rush. This is meant to be a peaceful process, not a chore. Once complete, the ripple mosaic offers more than just decoration. It becomes a reflection of life itself, how every choice, every kindness, every breath we take sends energy outward. It's a quiet invitation to pause, to be mindful, and to remember that even small things can reach far. In Zen philosophy, the ripple is a symbol of cause and effect, of how our inner calm can spread into the world around us. In your garden, it becomes a circle of peace that you've made with your own hands. So when life feels noisy, step near your ripple and breathe. Let it remind you serenity begins at the center, and that center is always within you. Have you ever admired how a cactus stands tall even in the harshest sun? Or how succulents store their strength quietly, thriving where little else grows? There's something deeply inspiring about these plants, their quiet endurance, their elegance without extravagance. That's why turning them into a stone mosaic can be both meaningful and surprisingly fun. This project is perfect for a sun-drenched wall the side of a raised planter or even a small tabletop garden feature. And the best part, it celebrates simplicity. You don't need color or complexity, just the iconic shape of a cactus or succulent outlined in smooth, neutral stones. Start by sketching the silhouette of your chosen plant. A tall saguaro with arms reaching upward, a rounded, prickly pear, or maybe a cluster of plump, succulent rosettes, like the kind you see nestled in small pots on windowsills. You can use inspiration from real plants in your yard or your imagination. Gather pebbles in shades of gray-green or soft brown. Even plain white stones work beautifully if you want a minimalist, desert-inspired aesthetic. Use larger stones to outline the edges and smaller ones to fill in the body of the plant. For visual interest, try alternating pebble sizes to mimic the natural texture of cactus ridges or succulent petals. If you'd like to add contrast, use reddish pebbles at the base to suggest the dry earth, or glue small river stones around the bottom to act as a pot beneath the plant. This gives your piece a grounded look and helps it blend into the garden landscape. Apply your outdoor adhesive or mortar section by section. This design is kind to tired hands. It doesn't require complex curves or tight spacing. Just a gentle placement of stones one by one, like stacking strength into form. Once dry, the finished piece becomes more than decor. It becomes a tribute to resilience, to surviving heat, drought, and time with quiet dignity. Cacti and succulents don't beg for attention. They don't bloom every day, but they thrive. And perhaps that's the message we need in this season of life, that it's okay to grow slowly, to conserve our energy, to bloom only when we're ready. So let your stone cactus be a quiet reminder you are still thriving in your own way, on your own terms. Some days we look out at the world and feel small, like everything around us is bigger, louder, moving faster. But then we remember the mountains, quiet, steady, unmoved by storm or time. They remind us that strength doesn't need to shout. That's why a triangle mountain mosaic made from simple stones can be such a grounding presence in your garden. It's easy to make, visually striking and filled with meaning. Even a small version brings a sense of majesty and stillness to your outdoor space. To begin, find a flat surface, a rectangular board, a stepping stone, or even a garden wall near your favorite bench. Sketch a row of triangles in different sizes to represent a distant mountain range. You might add a single peak or a layered horizon with larger and smaller points overlapping. Use darker pebbles, charcoal gray, deep brown slate to form the base of each mountain. Lay the stones in upward angled lines meeting at the peak. You can vary the pebble sizes slightly to give a natural, uneven look, just like real mountains. For snowy peaks or highlights, place small white or light gray stones at the tops. If you'd like a more colorful version, try using warm earthy tones to reflect a sunrise or sunset over the mountainscape. There's no wrong approach, only what feels right in your hands. This mosaic is ideal for seniors because it doesn't require tight curves or fine details. The triangle shapes are simple, and the layering gives the piece a sense of depth and drama without strain. Once complete, place it in a spot that catches soft light morning sun or golden evening rays. Let it stand as a quiet guardian of your garden. Mountains have long been symbols of endurance, perspective, and inner peace. They represent the trials we've climbed, the goals we've reached, and the stillness we carry after the storm. Even if your days feel smaller now, your spirit remains vast, as strong and unmoved as stone. So build your mountains. Let them speak of everything you've overcome and everything you still hold within. Let them remind you every time you walk by, you are not small. You are timeless, you are steady, and you are still rising. There's a quiet wisdom in the yin-yang, two halves swirling into a perfect whole. Light and dark, soft and strong, joy and sorrow. Not fighting each other, but dancing, balancing, supporting. That's what makes the yin-yang such a beautiful design to include in your garden, especially made from natural pebbles. It's not just a shape, it's a philosophy. One that reminds us that life in all its contrast is still whole. And so are we. To create it, start with a round surface, a stepping stone, a wooden circle, or a painted board sealed for outdoor use. Use a pencil to draw the familiar yin-yang curve, a gentle S, that divides the circle into two teardrop shapes. Then draw a small circle within each half near the center of the opposite color. Now comes the fun part, gathering your pebbles. For one half, use dark stones, black charcoal, deep gray. For the other, use light tones, white cream, pale beige. You can even use painted stones if needed, but natural shades often bring the most peaceful feeling. Lay the pebbles along the curves first to outline the shape, then fill in each half one small piece at a time. Smooth pebbles are easiest to work with. For the small circles in each side, reverse the color, a light stone set into the dark half and a dark one nestled in the light. Use outdoor adhesive or thin-set mortar and take your time. This isn't a race. Let it be meditative. A time to think, a time to breathe. When finished, the mosaic brings a sense of harmony to your space, perfect for a meditation corner, a flower bed, or a quiet bench area. As we age, life begins to make more sense through contrast. We appreciate light because we've walked through darkness. We value stillness because we've lived through chaos. We cherish joy more deeply because we've held sorrow. The yin-yang reminds us that both sides belong, that we are not broken for feeling opposites, we are whole because of them. So let this mosaic whisper to you on quiet mornings, balance lives here. In your garden, in your hands, and always deep within you. There's something unmistakably hopeful about a sunrise. Even if you've had a sleepless night, even if your bones ache a little more than they used to, the light still comes warm, golden, unwavering. That's the spirit we bring into the garden with a sunburst mandala made from pebbles. A radiant design that doesn't just brighten your space, it lifts your spirit. Start by choosing your surface. A round stepping stone works beautifully, or even a square board where the circular pattern can take center stage. Sketch a central circle, the sun, then draw rays extending outward like petals or beams of light. Some people like short, thick rays. Others prefer long and thin. Let your heart guide the pattern. Now gather your materials. Choose stones in warm tones, golden browns, soft oranges, creamy whites, and even rusty reds. These earth-toned pebbles will echo the natural palette of morning sunlight. You can sort them by shade if you want a gradient effect, or mix them freely for a more rustic look. Begin with the center. Use round or oval stones to fill the sun's core, pressing them in closely. Then lay out the rays one by one, using longer stones or a row of smaller ones arranged in lines. If you'd like to add a bit of shimmer, tuck a few glass gems or polished stones among the rays, a gentle sparkle that catches the afternoon light. Affix everything with outdoor adhesive or mortar, allowing the piece to dry slowly in the shade. Place your finished mandala in a space where it can shine along a path beside your porch, or in a quiet sitting area where you enjoy your morning tea. The sunburst is a symbol of life-giving energy, renewal, and joy. It speaks to those of us who rise slowly, who've weathered long winters, who know the beauty of a single warm day. In making this design, you're not just crafting with your hands, you're calling light into your space. You're reminding yourself, and everyone who sees it, that energy still flows through you. That even now, in this season of life, your presence can brighten everything around it. Let your sunburst be more than decoration. Let it be your quiet declaration, I still rise. I still shine. Have you ever looked into a mirror outside where the sky becomes your ceiling and the trees your frame? There's something magical about a mirror in the garden. It doesn't just reflect what's there, it deepens it, expands it, invites you to see beauty twice. Now imagine surrounding that mirror with a frame made of pebbles, stones you've gathered, chosen, and placed with care. Suddenly, it's not just a mirror. It's a window into the soul of your garden, and maybe even your own. This project is as simple or as detailed as you wish. Start with an old mirror, maybe a thrifted find or one that's been gathering dust in the garage. Rectangle, round, or oval, any shape will do. Clean the surface well and decide whether it will hang on a wall, lean on a table, or sit upright among plants. Next, gather your pebbles. For a rustic look, choose natural stones and mixed earth tones. For a more modern feel, go with white or gray river pebbles. Want something whimsical? Add beach glass shells or small polished gems among the stones. Using strong outdoor adhesive, apply glue around the mirror's frame in small sections. Press each pebble gently into place. Work slowly and patiently. You're not just building a border, you're telling a story. Some people prefer a single row of uniform stones. Others layer pebbles for a more textured, organic look. Both are beautiful. When finished, let the frame dry fully before moving it. Then place your mirror in a spot where it can reflect something special, the sky, a favorite flower, or even just the soft sway of branches in the breeze. Mirrors in the garden do more than reflect light. They reflect possibility. They make a small space feel larger and a quiet space feel infinite. They invite you to pause to look again, not just at the garden, but at yourself. Because sometimes we need to see ourselves surrounded by beauty. We need a reminder that, like the stones we've placed, we belong in this space, weathered, enduring, and still full of light. So build your pebble frame not just to hold a mirror, but to hold a moment of peace, of pride, of presence. You're still here, still creating, and yes, still shining. Your front door says home, but your house number says something more. It says, "This is where I belong." It's often the first thing people see, the quiet marker that says, "Here I am." And with just a few simple materials, you can turn that everyday number into a charming pebble-framed welcome that reflects your creativity and warmth.
This DIY is wonderfully doable and adds a personal handcrafted touch to your home's entrance. Start by finding a sturdy base for your sign. A wooden board, metal plaque, or even a ceramic tile will work well. Make sure it's weather-resistant or seal it with outdoor varnish if needed.
Next, choose your house numbers. You can use store-bought metal or ceramic numbers, or paint them on by hand with outdoor acrylics for a truly personal look. Place them centered on the board, leaving space around the edges for the pebble frame. Now comes the fun part, framing it with pebbles. Select stones that feel warm and inviting, river rocks in soft grays and browns, beach pebbles in whites and pinks, or even a mix of broken pottery and glass for a mosaic feel. Lay the stones around the border first without adhesive until you like the arrangement. Then go back and glue each piece down with outdoor-grade adhesive, pressing firmly. This project is especially gentle on the hands and body. You can sit at a table and build the entire sign from a chair, making it a cozy afternoon project. If you'd like, add a few meaningful elements, a pebble from a vacation, a button from your sewing box, or a shell that reminds you of a special memory. Once it's dry, hang your sign by the front door, on the garden gate, or at the end of the driveway. Visitors will notice it right away, not just for its charm, but for the way it feels so you. Numbers may seem simple, but they carry weight. They tell the story of where you've lived, loved, laughed, and rested. By framing yours with pebbles, you're not just marking a location, you're saying this home is cared for. So let your pebble-framed number be more than a label. Let it be a welcome, a signature, and a celebration of the life still blooming behind that door. There's something enchanting about Moroccan tile work. The intricate patterns, the harmony of color, the way each curve and angle feels like a piece of a secret garden. Even if you've never been to Marrakesh or wandered through a sunlit courtyard with tiled fountains, you can bring that spirit of global beauty right into your own backyard. And the best part, you don't need ceramic tiles or expensive materials. Just pebbles, your imagination, and a little time. This pebble mosaic is perfect for a small tabletop, a wall plaque, or even a garden stepping stone. Begin by selecting a basic geometric pattern. Moroccan tiles often use stars, diamonds, or interlocking circles. If drawing isn't your strong suit, you can print out a pattern and trace it onto your surface. Don't worry about perfection, the charm is in the handmade feel. Once you have your outline, it's time to choose your stones. Look for small, smooth pebbles in high contrast tones, white, black, deep blue, terracotta, and sand. If you're feeling bold, consider painting a few with outdoor safe paint to add pops of color. Work from the center of the design outward, placing each stone with care. Use outdoor adhesive or thin-set mortar and press the stones gently into place. The repeating shapes might feel complex at first, but once you find your rhythm, it becomes like a dance, one pebble leading to the next, one curve flowing into another. This project is a lovely way to spend a quiet afternoon, either alone or with a friend. You can chat while you work, sip something warm, and watch as a simple piece of wood or concrete becomes a work of art. When finished, your mosaic will shimmer in the sunlight and catch the eye of anyone who passes by. But more than that, it will carry a mood of elegance, history, and joy. Moroccan tile patterns symbolize hospitality and harmony. They remind us that beauty can come from repetition, that even simple shapes, when arranged thoughtfully, can become extraordinary. So, if you've ever wanted to travel without leaving home, let your hands take the journey. Let each pebble carry you to a place of light color and calm. You don't need a passport, just your time, your care, and your love for what's possible right in your own backyard. Some patterns feel ancient, eternal, as though they've always been with us, carved into stone or painted on pottery from long ago. The Greek key, also called the meander, is one of those patterns. A simple, continuous line that winds and turns, never breaking. It symbolizes infinity, unity, and the journey of life. And when recreated with pebbles, it brings a sense of order, grace, and classical charm to any outdoor space. This design is ideal for a garden border, the edge of a patio, or even as a framed piece leaning against a wall. It's one of the most senior-friendly patterns to craft, thanks to its straight lines and predictable repetition. Start by sketching a series of connected right angles, squares or rectangles, that fold back on themselves in a looping path. The size of the key depends on your space. For a stepping stone, you might fit 2 or 3 turns. For a long board or border, the design can stretch across the entire surface. Now gather your stones. This design looks beautiful in 2 tones, perhaps light pebbles for the background and darker ones for the pattern, or vice versa. Choose stones that are roughly uniform in size and shape, especially for the main lines. Begin laying out the key shape first. You can trace lightly with chalk or pencil to guide your placement. Then press each pebble into place with outdoor adhesive or mortar working in segments. Once your main line is set, fill in the surrounding space with your background stones, creating contrast and letting the pattern pop. This project doesn't require tight curves or delicate shapes, just careful placement and a steady hand. If your fingers get tired, take breaks. The design won't go anywhere. Like the key itself, your progress is continuous, not rushed, not broken. When finished, the Greek key becomes more than a decoration. It's a visual rhythm, a reminder that life has its turns, its corners, its unexpected bends, but it keeps going. And so do we. Let this mosaic speak to the journey you've walked. The paths you've followed, the detours you've braved, the continuity of your strength. Let it frame your garden with the quiet dignity of something ancient, meaningful, and lasting. You've come a long way, dear friend, and the road ahead's still winding, still beautiful. Do you remember believing in fairy tales, when every tree had secrets and every garden path might lead to another world? That sense of wonder doesn't have to fade. In fact, your garden might be just the place to welcome it back. One of the most delightful ways to do that is by building a fairy archway from pebbles, a whimsical portal that invites magic, imagination, and playfulness into your space. This design doesn't have to be large. In fact, the smaller it is, the more enchanting it feels. Think of it as a tiny doorway nestled in the garden wall, or an arched frame leaning against a flower bed. Even the smallest arch, just a foot high, can hold a world of charm. To begin, sketch an arch shape on a wooden board, or directly onto a stone wall or large stepping stone. It can be tall and narrow, or wide and rounded, whatever shape feels right to you. The key is that it curves gently like a doorway into somewhere secret. Gather pebbles that are similar in size and flat enough to stack side by side. Earthy tones like warm browns, grays, and soft whites work well here, though a few glimmers of quartz or sea glass can add a touch of sparkle. Using outdoor adhesive or mortar, begin placing your stones along the arch outline. Work from the base upward, one side at a time, meeting at the top. Leave the center of the archway open or fill it with something special like moss, a painted background, or even a miniature wooden door. Want to make it even more magical? Tuck in tiny details, a pebble step at the base, a dried flower garland, or a miniature mailbox painted onto the frame. Grandchildren and even adults will delight in imagining who might live there, a fairy, a mouse, or perhaps a story yet to be written. This project is especially kind to the body. You can build it at table height in a pot or on a small garden easel. It's a chance to play, to create with joy, and to remember that not everything in life must be serious. Let your fairy archway be a reminder imagination doesn't age, and wonder still lives right here in your hands, in your garden, and in every quiet corner where beauty dares to bloom. There's something irresistible about a tiny door hidden in a garden, as if it might open just for a moment into another world. A place where the air smells sweeter, the trees whisper softly, and magic feels entirely possible. You don't need to believe in fairy tales to love that feeling. You just need a little space, a handful of pebbles, and the childlike wonder that still lives quietly inside you. A pebble path leading to a miniature door is one of the simplest and most charming projects you can create. It doesn't take much room, and it brings instant joy to anyone who notices it. Start by choosing a location low to the ground, the base of a tree trunk, the bottom corner of a garden fence, or even nestled along a wall behind your flower beds. Begin by imagining the journey. The path should curve gently, like it's been walked 1,000 tiny times. Sketch a wavy line with chalk or pencil to guide you. Then gather small, flat pebbles, the kind you might pick up at the beach or find in your backyard. Lay the stones one by one, pressing them gently into soil or securing them with a dab of adhesive if you're working on a firmer surface. Vary the colors and sizes just slightly enough to keep it playful but still easy on the eyes. A few twinkling pieces of glass or shell can add just the right sparkle, like dew in the morning light. Now the door. You can purchase a small decorative Hobbit-style door online, or make one from popsicle sticks, driftwood, or even sculpted clay. Paint it in earthy tones, forest green, soft blue, warm chestnut, and add a pebble frame around it, pressing each stone carefully into place. Once complete, step back and look. That tiny door, that winding path, they invite you to smile, to wonder, to remember. In the garden of life, not every path must be practical. Some are just for the joy of walking. For the stories they suggest, the dreams they stir. Let this pebble path be your invitation, not only to others who walk your garden, but to yourself. An invitation to imagine again, to smile softly at the magic tucked between the roses, and to remember that part of you still believes in doors that open when no one's watching. Sometimes when the garden is especially quiet, a bird will land and stay a while, not flying off right away, just resting, watching, being. It's in those moments you feel a kind of unspoken connection to nature. A stillness, a peace. That's what a mosaic of a bird on a pebble branch can bring into your outdoor space, not just decoration, but a gentle reminder to pause, breathe, and simply be. This design is wonderfully versatile. It works on a wooden board, a garden wall, or even the top of a paver that rests near a favorite sitting spot. Begin by sketching a simple branch, one that curves softly across your surface. Let it have character, a few little offshoots, or a twist at the end. Then perch a small bird silhouette in the center or off to one side as if it's waiting for company. For the branch, gather long, smooth stones in browns and grays, ones that mimic the graceful line of wood. Use slightly larger or wider stones where the branch thickens near the base, and smaller pebbles for the tips and twigs. Now for the bird, choose rounder, oval-shaped pebbles to form the body. A slightly pointed stone works beautifully for the tail, and a tiny triangular pebble can become the beak. If you're feeling creative, add a little eye detail with a dot of black paint or a tiny seed bead. Secure everything with outdoor-grade adhesive or mortar, pressing each stone gently into place. Let the bird's pose feel relaxed, like it's resting unbothered by the rush of the world. Once dry, hang or lean your creation where it can be seen near your porch, beside your favorite plant, or tucked into a cozy garden corner. Let it greet you each morning as you step outside. Birds symbolize freedom, perspective, and spiritual connection. But more than that, they remind us that even in stillness, life continues. That resting is not the same as stopping. That sometimes just perching quietly is enough. This pebble mosaic isn't just a piece of art, it's a companion, a quiet presence that says you've made it through the storm. Now it's time to rest your wings. So sit beside your pebble bird. Let it be your daily reminder you're allowed to be still. You're allowed to find peace. And you are never alone in your own garden of quiet blessings. Have you ever wandered through the woods after a rain and spotted little mushrooms peeking out from the mossy floor? There's a secret charm to them, as if they belong to another world, hidden just beneath the surface of our own. Bringing that quiet enchantment into your garden is easier than you might think with simple stone mushrooms and toadstools made from pebbles and imagination. This DIY is playful, welcoming, and perfect for adding whimsy to flower beds, fairy gardens, or shady corners of your yard. Best of all, it's entirely customizable. Each mushroom can be as unique as the one who makes it. Start by choosing 2 stones per mushroom, one for the stem, one for the cap. The stem should be tall and slender. A smooth pebble or small chunk of driftwood works perfectly. The cap should be flat and round or dome-shaped like a button mushroom top. Look for stones with a natural curve or slight tilt, they add character. To assemble, use a strong outdoor adhesive. Attach the stem vertically to a stable base like a wooden slice paver or flat garden stone, then gently secure the cap on top. Let it dry fully before placing it outdoors. Want to make a cluster? Use different heights and shapes, placing 2 or 3 together beneath a plant or beside your fairy archway. For added fun, you can paint the tops with red and white polka dots, moss green, or even metallic copper. Or leave them bare, letting the natural stone tell its own story. If you have grandkids or little visitors, this becomes a magical treasure hunt. Look, Grandma's garden grows stone mushrooms. It sparks joy and invites connection. Mushrooms symbolize mystery, renewal, and the unseen networks of life. Beneath every forest floor is a web of roots and threads, just like the quiet strength we carry beneath the surface. These pebble mushrooms remind us that even in dark or overlooked places, beauty grows. So tuck a few into your garden's quiet corners. Let them whisper stories of woodland wonder. Let them make you smile. Because even the smallest details, like a pebble turned into a toadstool, can bring big joy when they come from your hands and your heart. You haven't outgrown enchantment, dear friend. You've earned the right to live inside it. There's a special kind of warmth in a garden that greets you before you even step inside. A soft breeze, the scent of herbs, and perhaps a little handmade sign quietly saying, "Welcome." Not shouted, but whispered with care. A Pebble Mosaic welcome sign does just that. It turns the simple act of greeting into something beautiful, personal, and full of soul. You don't need perfect handwriting or artistic training, just your hands, your heart, and a few pebbles placed with love. Start with a board or flat plaque, reclaimed wood, a piece of slate, or even an old baking tray can serve as your base. Make sure it's clean and sealed for outdoor use, or plan to keep your sign under a covered porch. Sketch the word "Welcome" in soft pencil across the center. Use your natural handwriting or trace a printed font if you prefer. Don't worry about getting it perfect. This is meant to feel handmade. Now gather your stones. Choose small, smooth pebbles that contrast with your base. Light stones on a dark board work well, or darker stones on a pale background. You can even mix in broken bits of ceramic glass beads or sea glass for sparkle. Begin by outlining the letters with your chosen stones. Use a strong outdoor adhesive to secure each one in place, working slowly and steadily. If a curve feels tricky, break it into shorter lines. Even little adjustments will still flow beautifully in the final piece. Once the word is complete, you can add extra touches, a border of pebbles around the edge, a small flower or heart motif in the corner, or even a little stone butterfly resting nearby. Let it be a reflection of your style, cozy, rustic, whimsical, or quietly elegant. Place your finished sign where guests will see it by the front gate, near the porch steps, or hanging from a garden hook. Let it greet neighbors, delivery folks, old friends, and family, all with the same message: you're welcome here. In a world that moves fast and often feels impersonal, a handmade welcome sign reminds us of the power of invitation. It says, "This space is tended with care. You are safe here, seen here, loved here." And when you pass it yourself each day, may it greet you too, reminding you that your presence matters and that even in quiet places, kindness blooms. There's something comforting about writing a little message in the morning, even just a word or two. "Good day. Don't forget your hat. I love you." A message board in the garden becomes more than a tool. It becomes a way to connect to yourself, to your home, to the people who pass through your life. And when you frame that board with stones, pebbles you've placed with care, it becomes a living artwork, changing with the seasons, yet always rooted in something timeless. To make your pebble-framed message board, start with a chalkboard panel. You can use a small piece of slate, a pre-made chalkboard, or even paint a wood panel with outdoor chalkboard paint. Choose a size that fits your space, big enough to write a sentence or two, small enough to tuck beside a door garden bench or kitchen porch. Once you have your center, it's time to build your frame. Gather pebbles in any shades you like, smooth river stones, seashells, or even small bits of broken tile or pottery. Lay them out around the border first without glue, finding a pattern or balance that feels just right. Using strong outdoor adhesive, begin securing each piece one by one. Press gently and let yourself take your time. If you're feeling playful, add a few surprise elements: a button, a polished glass bead, or a little charm that only you know is there. Once dry, your board is ready to be written on and rewritten. Leave a note for your family, a quote that lifts your spirit, or a reminder to water the basil. You can change the message each day or once a season. That's the beauty of it, it evolves. This project is wonderfully gentle on the hands and body. You can work at table height indoors or out and complete it in small steps across an afternoon or weekend. It's especially sweet if made as a shared project, perhaps with a grandchild or a dear friend. A message board framed in pebbles becomes more than a place to write. It becomes a reflection of the life you're living now, intentional, creative, full of care. And when you walk by it each morning, even with no words written yet, it will still say something quietly. You made this, you're still writing, and your voice still matters. Time flows differently in the garden. There's no rush, no alarm, just the soft unfolding of light, the stretching of shadows, the quiet rhythm of seasons. What if you could capture that gentler sense of time in something handmade? A wall clock with pebble hour markers does exactly that. It blends function with beauty and turns every passing hour into a moment of presence. To begin, you'll need a simple clock face. You can find inexpensive clock kits at craft stores or repurpose an old clock whose frame has seen better days. Remove the existing numbers or cover them with paint or paper. You'll only need the central mechanism and a flat surface to build your mosaic around. Choose a base that fits your garden's mood: a wooden round for rustic charm, a square slate for modern elegance, or even a recycled metal tray for a vintage look. Make sure it's sealed or suitable for outdoor placement if it will hang outside. Now comes the thoughtful part: selecting your 12 pebbles. Each one will represent an hour. Choose stones that feel special, not necessarily matching, but balanced in size and tone. You might gather them from places that hold memories: the beach, a favorite trail, or your own backyard. Mark the center of the board where the clock hands will go. Then, using a ruler or compass, mark 12 evenly spaced spots around the circle. Place each pebble at its hour mark, adjusting until the spacing feels right. Glue each stone in place with outdoor adhesive. If you wish, you can add a small embellishment at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 positions: a different colored pebble, a shell, or a tiny tile. Once dry, attach your clock mechanism through the center and add the hands. Choose a set with large, easy-to-read arms in a contrasting color so you can enjoy the time without straining your eyes. Hang your finished clock somewhere meaningful, near the porch swing, in a sunroom, or above your potting bench. Every glance becomes a pause, a reminder. In a world that often pushes us to do more, this clock says something softer: you're right on time. Let your pebble clock tick with gentleness. Let it mark not just hours, but the beauty of being here, fully, slowly, lovingly. In the old days, sailors and travelers followed the stars, but on land they followed the compass rose, a symbol of direction, wisdom, and guidance. Even now, something about it feels steady, reassuring. It reminds us that we may not control the wind, but we can choose where to face. Creating a compass rose from pebbles brings that same sense of calm into your garden. It doesn't just show north, south, east, and west, it invites reflection. Where have you come from? Where are you headed? And perhaps most tenderly, where do you feel most at home? Begin with a flat surface, a stepping stone, a large paver, or a round wooden board. Use a ruler to draw a large plus sign across the center, marking the 4 cardinal directions. Then add diagonal lines in between, creating 8 points in total, like a star. Each point will become one of the compass arms. Choose longer pebbles or line up smaller ones in rows. Use bold, dark stones for the main 4 directions, N, E, S, W, and lighter or smaller stones for the in-between points. For extra detail, add a small circle at the center using a contrasting pebble or piece of tile. You can label the directions with painted letters or small metal initials, or leave it symbol only for a more rustic, weathered look. Use outdoor adhesive or mortar to secure each piece in place, pressing gently and allowing time to dry. This project is peaceful and methodical, a wonderful way to spend a quiet afternoon with a cup of tea nearby. You can sit comfortably while working and pause between steps without losing your rhythm. Once complete, place your compass rose where it feels meaningful at the center of a gravel path near your front gate, or beside a quiet bench where you like to watch the sunset. The compass rose is a symbol of orientation and hope. It reminds us that even when life feels uncertain, there's always a way forward. That rest is a direction too, that you can face north today and east tomorrow and still be on the right path. Let your pebble compass be a quiet guide, a steady presence in your garden, a gentle whisper that says, wherever you go, you carry your center with you. Patterns are more than decoration, they are memory, meaning story. Across time and cultures, tribal motifs have been used to mark identity, tell histories, and connect people to land and spirit. When you bring a tribal-inspired pebble design into your garden, you're not just creating art. You're honoring the deep human need to belong, to express, and to remember. An African tribal motif with its rhythmic lines, repeating shapes, and grounded beauty can be recreated with natural stones in a way that feels both timeless and contemporary. This type of mosaic adds subtle strength to your space and is especially lovely as a border, a stepping stone, or a framed piece near your sitting area. Start by choosing a design. Common African motifs include chevrons, zigzags, diamonds, and interlocking lines. These symbols often carry meaning, strength, protection, unity, or the journey of life. Select a pattern that speaks to you, something bold and geometric, yet soothing in its repetition. Sketch the outline on a flat surface. A rectangular board or stone slab makes a perfect base. Keep the layout simple to begin with 2 or 3 rows of repeated shapes. This makes it easier to build steadily without becoming overwhelming. Now gather your stones. Stick to a neutral palette, soft grays, white sand colors, deep browns. Let the natural beauty of the pebbles do the talking. Uniformity isn't necessary. The organic texture is what makes this design feel alive. Use outdoor adhesive to secure each pebble into place, row by row. The straight lines and repeating shapes make this a physically gentle project, easy to do while seated. Take breaks, stretch, and enjoy the rhythm of the work. It's almost meditative. Once completed, your mosaic will bring a grounded elegance to your garden. It may feel quietly powerful, not flashy, but steady and full of soul. Tribal motifs are rooted in story and ancestors, in the patterns of nature and community. By recreating one with your hands, you're participating in a tradition of beauty born from simplicity and meaning. Let your stone design be more than just a pattern. Let it be your reminder that your life has rhythm too. A pulse, a path, a pattern that's still unfolding, still meaningful, still beautiful. So here we are, dear friend. 20 quiet ideas, each made of simple pebbles, and yet together they've built something far more meaningful. A garden, not just of flowers, but of stories. A place, not just to grow, but to remember. Maybe you've already imagined which mosaic you'll try. A sunflower for joy, a tree of life for strength, a tiny path that leads to nowhere and everywhere. Or maybe you're simply sitting there with a warm cup in your hand, letting the inspiration settle softly like dusk across the lawn. That's beautiful too. The truth is, every one of us carries our own mosaic within, bits of memory, pieces of pain, colors of joy, and shapes of resilience. And just like the stones we've gathered, these parts of us don't need to match. They just need to belong. You don't need to spend money to make beauty. You don't need to move fast, bend low, or lift heavy things. You only need a little corner of time, a little patience, a willingness to let your hands shape something that reflects what lives quietly inside you. And in doing so, you're not just decorating your garden, you're honoring your story, your life, your light. These mosaics will weather the seasons. They'll gather moss, catch sunlight, and hold rainwater like tears that never needed words. They will sit gently in your space and say, "Someone cared here. Someone dreamed. Someone made something with love." So, I hope you choose one small project or even just one stone and let it guide you. You might be surprised how good it feels to create not for anyone else, but for yourself. Now I'll leave you with this quiet blessing. May your hands stay gentle. May your imagination stay wide. And may your garden, no matter how small, become a sanctuary of peace, pride, and play. Which idea brought you the most joy? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like more soft creative inspiration for your home and heart, subscribe and join me again next time. Until then, happy gardening, dear friend.